We are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. It's been 2 months. Sorry about that. Can't really go into every reason why, but there were a lot of reasons why. But I'm back with Nick. Say hi.
I am back. We are back. We are very excited. I hope everybody had a great Christmas and New Year's.
Christmas and New Year's. February is next week, and it's 50 degrees outside in Pittsburgh.
I know. It was crazy. I looked at my phone this morning. It said 60 degrees on my phone. I was like, what?
Yeah. Last week it was like -8 wind chill.
Yes.
Today it
was 60.
Almost 60 degrees.
Which is insane.
I'm wearing shorts on January 26th, and I went outside. I have like 11,000 steps. Crazy.
But, yeah, no. This is going to be a crazy episode because we're fastly approaching the trade deadline. Quite a lot of stuff has happened since the last 2 months. It is a dogfight in the West, and the East is equally as much of a dogfight.
Yeah. So, what has happened? Well, the Leafs suck now. No, I'm kidding. Well, they haven't been great.
Yeah, it's been like off and on, say for the 4-game losing streak you had, middle of January.
But speaking of streaks, I think we should open up with the third biggest winning streak of all time in NHL history.
You mean kill me?
The Edmonton Oilers on a 15-game win streak. I think they won again. Last night against, I think it was Chicago, I believe.
It's against Chicago. Yeah. They won 3-0. They blanked them. Yeah. Goals came from, I think it was Warren Fogle it was McDavid had 2 and Hyman had 1. I was thinking of the Kraken one where Fogle had 2.
Oh,
God, that one hurt. They're on a 15-game winning streak, which is insane to think. For reference, folks, the last time they lost, they were on a 3-game losing streak. They lost to the Islanders 3-1 at, I forget, what did they play? Where do the Islanders play? I always forget their stadium name. Or their
UBS Arena.
They play at UBS Arena, and they lost 3-1. Since then, they haven't lost since the 19th of December.
Oh, my gosh. I remember when this winning streak first started, they were way out of the playoffs. They were, I think, 15 points out of a spot or something crazy like that, and now they're third in the Pacific with 4 games in hand.
Forget all that. Just think about their record for a minute. 15 games ago, game 29, they were 13-15-1.
Oh, my gosh.
They're now 28-15-1 and have stormed into a third-place spot in the Pacific. No thanks to the Kings struggling, obviously, but...
Yeah. I mean, they're the hottest team in hockey right now, and it's not close. It's really not. Of course, there are still, really good teams that have been consistently good. The Canucks have been shockingly consistently good. Pardon the Discord notification.
We love Discord notes.
But, the Bruins are still
very good.
The Bruins, and we have the accursed Rangers. So, yeah.
But even they are,
Yeah, they're toss-ups.
Everybody in the Metro's this year.
The Metro is it's super weird.
It's very competitive, but it's all just
it's competitive, and you have
very ugly hockey.
The standings are so weird in the Metro because you have the Rangers and Hurricanes that are both +17. The Flyers, shout out to my mom. Flyers are a +3. The Devils are -4 goal differential. The Islanders are -22. The Caps are -30. And in second to last in the Metro, the Pittsburgh Penguins are +12. And they're second to last.
Yeah, I don't got anything for that.
Kind of insane. Granted, they have games in hand, everyone else has played 47 games or more. The Penguins have played 44.
Yeah, but...
So they have, if they win all their games in hand, they're obviously higher than that because it's 51 points with 4th place in the Devils. The Penguins have 48 with, 4 games in hand. So
it's very weird.
The Penguins are weird because story time with Jimmy and Nick, along with our friend Harley.
You mean pain and suffering?
last week we went to see the Penguins and Kraken play in person. Hey!
Kill me.
It's Baby's first time watching his team get blown out by the Penguins in Pittsburgh.
So for reference, folks, we got tickets. I'm gonna do a little just mini rant here. SeatGeek charged me $100 of fees for 3 tickets.
Yeah, so we have
Oh my god.
we were sitting there like with student rush tickets, and like we weren't sure if like all 3 of us were going to be able to go because stuff was coming and going during the day.
Yes.
But by the time we like were like, all right, we're going, this is like in a 2-minute span. We go to click on like the get-go student rush tickets, and the Penguins website decided, let's crash. So we didn't get the tickets. I don't even know if those tickets sold.
The crazy thing about Student Rush, folks, is that, like, if you don't have your information saved, I remember because my boy Liam, he's back for 2 games. He's for both the Panthers game tonight and the Canadiens game tomorrow, because there's a bobblehead, I think, being distributed.
They're playing Le Habitant tomorrow?
They are playing Le Habitant tomorrow.
Oh.
And they're giving out a bobblehead, and I can't remember. I think it's Gensel, but I could be wrong.
You mean person who's about to be traded?
It's either Gensel or Crosby. It's one of the two. But it's one of those 2
I
players.
think it's Gensel, if I had to guess.
But they're giving out a bobblehead for him tomorrow. So him and his dad went. I think it's him and his dad came up for the game, and shout out to him.
To
but
go tomorrow.
It was that game was painful for me, and the reason it hurts so much, their last 5 games they're 1-4, and of course
the one
win they have,
win.
they not only crapped on Seattle, they blanked us.
I know. It reminds me of when my girlfriend and I went to see the Penguins and the Leafs play back in November. The Penguins had like a rough stretch where they hadn't won in like 5 games, and the first game they win is against the Leafs. So Nick, if you decide to go see the Kraken in Pittsburgh again, they're gonna get their butts kicked, and it's going to happen often because for whatever reason the Penguins suck against, like, this year at least they've been they haven't been like they don't suck, but they're inconsistent is the word I'm looking for.
They'll go and lose to the Caps, beat the Bruins, lose to the Sabres, then beat the Flyers.
And then beat the Canucks.
No, they lost the Canucks in OT in that game.
But they got a point.
Yeah, they got a point in that game, kicked the crap out of my team, and then lost 5-2 to the Coyotes.
Oh, we can go into
Let's
that.
talk about that game, because they had the worst... Was it that game?
Yeah.
It was that game. They had the worst own goal I've ever seen in my life. And I saw, if you've seen this, there's the clip of Anton Khudobin for the Blackhawks serving the biggest cookie in the world to, oh God, was it Connor Sherry?
It was Connor Sherry.
It was Connor Sherry. Oh my God, it was one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. And I was like, nothing could top that. That is horrible. Or Karel Vemelka's just... Here you go. I forget. I think it was the Stars. I think
we were at the ballroom club that. Well,
yeah, it was the spring ball.
Shameless plug for the ballroom club at Duquesne.
Yes,
please stop by. Please
stop by. We promote collaboration at DSR here. But,
yes.
Anyways,
but I remember we were taking a break during that spring social, and you had the Caps game pulled up. And we turned it on at the exact right time because the puck was in the neutral zone and it got dumped in, and it happened like literally 10 seconds after you turned it on.
Bro, it wasn't. Well, actually, no, it wasn't even that. I got an ESPN notification saying worst. It wasn't worst own goal.
Horrible goal from like, Anton Khudobin.
Must see terrible pass or something like that. It was like some crazy headline like that, and I think what makes this wild for me was that, like, if the reason we talk about that is because in that Coyotes game, the Coyotes had a penalty, so the Penguins are going to get a power play.
Yeah, well, it was going to be 4-on-4 because the Coyotes were on the power play.
Okay, yeah. They were on the power play, but they got a penalty, so Pittsburgh decided to yank their goalie.
Which normally happens, but
It makes
normally
sense.
happens when you're in the attacking zone.
And they were not. There were 2 players in the defending zone. It was Letang and it was Malkin, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So, you could explain the rest, because this made my head hurt seeing this play.
So, the Penguins were trying to break the puck out, and get into the Coyotes, the Coyote zone. So, Chris Letang is met at the blue line by a Coyotes defender and does a drop pass back to Malkin. Malkin reaches out with his backhand with one hand, mishandles the puck, and it goes in the net. I've seen people blame Chris Letang. I've seen people blame Evgeny Malkin, and a couple of people blamed Tristan Jarry online for some reason. He wasn't in the net.
Of course they did. You know some people are going to do that.
I know. But the thing is, people are like, oh, it's Malkin's fault. Oh, it's Letang's fault. It's both of their fault because Letang knows there's an empty net behind him and did the drop pass towards zone net anyways. Malkin knows there's an empty net and decides to handle a pass one-handed on the backhand. Those are 2 gaffes where they are lucky Steve Dangle doesn't do Steve's Dangits anymore, because that would be running on repeat.
That would have been the Dangit of the year. I guarantee you. That would have been Dangit of the year. It was so bad because what really bugs me is that through that entire play, Malkin made a giant mistake because I don't know what he was trying to do. But for me, it's more pressing on Chris Letang because in that entire moment, when you know you're getting a power, they're going to get a penalty.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, you throw it back to the corner and let it ring around the back end.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? And if they touch the puck, okay, you lose the attack. Why are you throwing it back in the direction of your net?
I genuinely...
Why?
I accidentally hit the mic. Sorry, everyone. But,
it makes no sense to me.
I don't know. I don't know why they did it. But, this is just, a small thing out of a much bigger issue for the Penguins. I don't think Mike Sullivan should be fired yet. Emphasis on yet. Because a lot of the Penguins' problems right now are with their power play, because they went a month and a half without scoring a power play goal, and then you go from about to have a 4-on-4 into a power play into scoring on yourself and the game's over. So,
That's
to me,
horrendous.
I think the coach, Todd Reardon, who is in charge of the power play and the penalty kill, he needs to be fired. He's needed to be fired, I think he's had a job for 3 years now. Yeah, he needed to be fired 4 years ago.
And for reference, I did a quick look on stats. The Penguins are in a 3-way tie for second to last in power play goals in the entire league. Last place is the Caps, which is ironic because they're also...
It's because Ovechkin's not scoring.
It's because of... trust me, I know that in my fantasy.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not scoring that much, and their team is big, old, and slow.
Well,
and
the Penguins, too.
The Penguins are also big, old, and slow. So the Caps have 18, and then the Penguins have 19, tied with, you're not going to like this company, the Blues, which, while the stats are pretty deceiving, the Blues have not been that good this year.
No, they haven't.
They got a little hot recently, though, so maybe that turns it around, but they've been really bad at points.
The Blues also didn't buy in the offseason.
No, and they pretty much banked on Robert Thomas, Pavel Buchnevich, and Jordan Kyrou, just, turning into, Sisfelis? The guy who pushed the boulder? You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Oh, my God,
Give me one second. So, yeah. So it's basically that meaning. So there was St. Louis, who has been just a kind of a mess this season, and Chicago.
Oh my!
Who is literally one of the worst teams in hockey.
That is bad company.
That is horrible company. The Sharks, the San Jose Sharks, and the Columbus Blue Jackets have an extra goal on the power play than the Penguins.
Oh,
that's horrendous.
Oh my gosh!
That is beyond horrendous.
I knew it was bad, but I didn't know it was that bad.
If the Caps were not there, they'd be one of the biggest laughing stocks in the Eastern Conference right now.
And the Caps are ahead of them.
Yeah, but
Not for much longer, but they're ahead of them.
Yeah.
And speaking of, like, terrible plays, I think Darcy Kemper came out, like, all the way to the blue line to play a puck and gave up a goal, too.
I think I saw that.
That was funny, too. But
they're so doomed with Kemper at goal. They thought that was their biggest issue.
So
I could rant forever on the Caps. They're
we can talk about the Caps because I think both the Penguins and the Caps issues play hand in hand. With the Penguins though, like they're kind of screwed because you sent assets and are paying $10 million for Erik Karlsson. That deal you made in the offseason, that one's looking like a Kyle Dubas we can and we will certain situation because you can't have your power play be this bad and paying $10 million for Erik Karlsson. You're also paying, I think it's like 8.9 for Chris Letang.
I'll check that on Cap Friendly right now.
I was going to say, check Cap Friendly because I think he's like 7 or 8 million. So you have those two defensemen. You have Malkin, who you just signed to an extension, who has been terrible this year.
Wait, who are you looking at for price?
Look at Chris Letang.
Chris Letang. 6.1 million and Erik Karlsson's 10 million. Oh my goodness, they're both there for another 4 years. Actually, Letang's 5.
Letang's deal, I wouldn't have a problem with Letang's deal.
And Ryan Graves is getting $4.5 million.
Oh my, that's been a bad signing too. But like, I wouldn't mind Letang's contract if they didn't take away the thing he was good at. Because Karlsson took a spot on Power Play 1.
Yeah.
That's what Letang did great at for the last couple of years. Like, he was great on the power play. He was great offensively. So you move him down a pairing, and you move him down a spot in the power play lineup. So he's not getting any looks on the power play. He's not getting a chance to boost confidence. And Karlsson's not getting it done on the power play. And he's been Erik Karlsson defensively.
And I think that's the issue here. You look at him. Like, if Karlsson's not scoring, they got no identity on defense. I mean,
they don't.
Like, you have Karlsson, Chris Letang, Ryan Graves, Marcus Pettersson, Pierre-Olivier Joseph, and Chad Ruhwedel.
The bald man.
That's their defense.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
None of those guys
None of them work well together.
Yeah, none of those guys except maybe Ryan Graves are big meanies. Like you can have skilled defensemen, but like you need mean people on defense.
But it feels like there's just no identity on their defense.
There's not.
It just feels like they brought in names and hoped to like would work out. Like between like all of that, bringing in Riley Smith, I actually think is a good move. You know.
I think it was. I think Lars Eller was decent.
Noel Chari, Colin White, like just moves like that, keeping O'Connor. Like it just feels like they didn't like put an emphasis on like putting some form of an identity together on their team, and that really kind of rubs me the wrong way because it just feels like sometimes I've watched them play outside. I've watched them play on TV. Obviously, it was different in the one game they won. Just kill me. Half the time it just feels like, at least for me, sometimes it just looks like they're going through the motions every now and then.
I agree. There's only like one player that isn't going through the motions from what I've seen. It's Crosby.
I would say Raquel as well because he's been pretty. He's
been okay. And I can't believe if you would have caught me saying this a couple of years ago, I would have been like, you're insane. But if this continues, when do we have the Crosby conversation?
Like,
of him getting out of Pittsburgh. Do we have that conversation at some point? Because
here's the thing, and I'm gonna stress it with these points.
Yeah,
we've watched some greats leave their big teams to try and get a ring at the very end of their career. I mean, there's two pretty easy examples I can name right off the gate, both from the Sharks, Marlowe, and Thornton. Both
neither of which got rings.
Unfortunately not. Marlowe ended up with the Leafs for 1 or 2 years?
I think it was 3 years.
No, it was a 3-year deal, but they got out of it. I remember.
2 years then. 2 years.
I think it was 2 years. They traded him to Carolina. I don't know
with a first round pick.
Oof. And then Thornton just kind of went ring chasing around. Also ended up in Toronto for a little bit.
Why
and
do
with
these people come to Toronto to get a ring? It's not happening.
But even Spezza, I mean, I would say he went ring chasing, but he left his team late in his career and went somewhere else.
He went to the Stars at first.
Pavelski
Also
is in
went
the
to the
same.
Stars.
Is left late in his career. You know, there's a lot of guys who. And I'm not saying like ring chasing isn't like like the NBA where literally one guy will go to 5 different teams in 5 years and have like a 1 in 5 shot at getting a ring, which sounds harsh, but it's true. But it's more like a player in the NHL will leave like at between 33 to 37.
Yeah.
And go with one team for like anywhere from 2 to 5 years.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And give it one last shot with their team. Maybe in the case of, like I said, Thornton or Marlowe, they'll go to a team for like a year and then come back or end it with the team they started or just end their career.
And the other thing, like, Jake Gensel's been in rumors since the start of the year, which is kind of crazy because his contract is up this year, I think.
He is. There is 4 guys up for UFAs. It's White, Jansen, Harkins, Carter, and Gensel.
You can let all of them go except Gensel. Like, I think Gensel is going to be dealt at some point because this is just not working out. It's Ron Hextall. It's Ron Hextall accelerating the downfall. Kyle Dubas is doing his best to pick everything back up, but
there's just nothing there.
All of those deals they signed the older guys, I'm like, sure, they deserve to finish their career in Pittsburgh if they wish. Like, they won 3 cups. They've been exceptional players. But at the same time, if you are trying to jumpstart a rebuild, imagine what you could get for some of the guys you have on your team.
Yeah, I think at this point,
you're stuck with Carlson. Like, you're not moving him again.
Carlson, Graves, and Letang, you're kind of all stuck with.
Yeah, you're.
I hate to be harsh on
Carlson.
Letang, but like, that contract is bad.
Yeah.
And unmovable, and like I said, the city likes him too much. So, like, all 3 of those guys are stuck there for the next 3 years.
Yeah.
Like those 3 are your top 3 defenders for the next 3 years, unless you can find some way to shave cap or find somebody. You'd have to eat half the contract and probably give up a pick or 2.
And the Penguins can't afford to eat that much cap right now.
No.
If they have aspirations to be a playoff team, they can't. It's undoable. And they have a very similar problem to the Capitals right now, where they have some guys that are playing good, but you have guys like, I cannot believe I'm calling him out. I cannot believe I'm doing this. Alex Ovechkin.
Bad. Terrible. He has 8 goals in 40 games.
And didn't he score like 50 last year? He had like 51 goals, didn't he?
42 in 73 games.
Yeah.
He has been terrible, and everyone around him has been bad. And, like, for reference, he is tied with Ovi for 4th with 8 goals. Somehow he has 21 assists. Don't know how that happens.
Who's leading the Caps in goal scoring right now?
Dylan Strome with 18.
You're kidding.
The next 2 after that are Anthony Mantha with 14.
That contract is terrible.
And it's a garbage contract, but they're desperate
contract.
and they overpaid and had to keep him.
They traded Jacob Vrana for him, who's not in the league anymore, but at the time, it's like, what are you doing?
Trade.
Yeah.
Unless they knew about like all the personal stuff he was going through, which who knows. And then Tom Wilson, who was 12. And Tom Wilson's not a guy who's going to go score you 40 goals in a season.
Didn't they extend him to like some crazy number?
Give me 1 second.
I think they gave him like a 7x7 or something.
If they did, they are dumb.
I think they gave him like a 7x7, and like, I don't know whose situation is worse. I honestly think the Penguins' situation is worse because of that trade with Erik Karlsson. I think their situation is worse because they got something that they didn't need. Imagine what they could have used that $10 million for.
They're in long-term issues because they have a lot of guys extended for a long period of time in which I think the Caps are in a worse situation solely because they just don't have much to work around.
They don't.
Versus the Penguins, where you have stuff to work around, but you have very little flexibility.
But the Caps have all of their picks. They're gonna have cap space whenever stuff.
Even that's the issue, though.
Turns out, and they can easily trade an Oshie or Anthony Mantha or Nick Dowd. They have guys that people want.
Oshie, if they're gonna do it, they need to do it now. But for reference, they only have 2 guys. Actually, no, they got 3. Well, this is a draft pick, so I'll ignore the one guy. Alexi Protas.
Alexi Protash.
I think, yeah. Protas. Thank you for pronouncing the names. I'm still trying. Names are hard. But
NHL names are hard.
Only 2 guys who aren't extended past 3 years. Even Ovi's not on this list, by the way. They have 2 guys extended past 3 years.
Oh, boy.
Dylan Strome, which is worth it because he's their best player easily, and Tom Wilson. I thought it was bad. I looked again. It's 7 years, $6.5 million.
Oh my gosh!
His contract hasn't even started, by the way.
The Wilson contract hasn't started.
He still has 1 more year, making about, I think it's $5 million.
Oh boy!
He's there for 8 years.
And Wilson's like a physical forward. Those declines are steep.
The best way to compare it, if anybody outside of it is not a diehard hockey fan, think of it like
power hitters in baseball.
Yeah, like power hitting first baseman in baseball. Honestly, in basketball, I would say like big tall centers.
Yeah,
they have very short shelf lives because once your physicality drops, your benefit's useless in the NBA. With the NFL, it's offensive linemen.
Yeah, that's
the minute
true.
You start losing some of like your like core strength in like your chest and arms, you're done.
Don't talk to me about offensive linemen right now.
Oh god!
Don't talk to me about offensive linemen right now. I don't want to hear it.
Pain.
I don't want to hear it.
Pain.
Jason Kelsey.
Pain.
If you do retire,
he's retired.
I will miss you so much.
Yeah,
that being said, go Lions!
But to all that to put back, like that contract's going to end bad. It's going to end bad, and it's just it's not a matter of if, it's when. So that's why I'm a firm believer of while the Penguins' contracts are putting them financially in a worse spot, they at least have a good chance to get something right now and turn something around. The Caps don't.
They have a chance to at least compete.
Who?
The Penguins have a chance to compete.
Yes. The Caps don't. Like, they're paying OV $9.5 million, and they should, obviously. I'm not going to disagree with the money. After that is Kuznetsov. He has the second most money on the forward side at 7.8.
How many years does he have left?
2.
He's getting paid $7.8 million?
Yes.
That's probably the Stanley Cup extension,
and for
if
reference,
I had to guess.
Nobody on their defense extended past 3 years.
John Carlson's not extended?
Nope. He has $8 million for 3 more years, and he's done.
Ooh, that's a piece that you could potentially move.
They have him and Nick Jensen for 3 years.
I know some teams that would like a John Carlson on their team.
Or Nick Jensen.
Nick Jensen's Nick Jensen. I have a love-hate relationship with him. He's kind of a liability defensively, so
yeah. But
he just put up a lot
all
of points
around
to make up for it.
It makes for a weird. They're both in weird situations. And
yes.
I think if they want to try one more time and seriously compete, the Penguins, it's more of they got to retool and do it right, not like sell off one piece and say, hey, they're fine like that.
Yeah.
Like I saw that minor trade they made with the Wild.
Oh, they're back. It's done. It's over.
I remember.
It's Will Butcher for
Will
Butcher. Will Butcher
for like a minor leaguer.
Oh, hang on a minute.
I have to trade.
Hang on a second. Penguins trade. That's
Maxim.
Good luck pronouncing that one. Maxim Kajevich for Will Butcher. It is over. The league is put on notice. The Penguins are back, baby.
Yep.
But no.
There's no direction, and I think that's what bugs me. Like, even though the Sabres and Senators have been bad, they had a direction, and while it's not working this year, obviously, like they're putting like plans in place to like try and move forward.
Yeah.
Versus like for me, teams that like strike me as like directionless. Canadians still, I think they're still directionless.
Yeah. We'll talk about the Canadian or a player on the Canadians shortly.
Caps, Penguins, Islanders are like the 4 teams on the eastern side that just strike me as like, lost at sea. Honestly, Detroit's in there as well.
They are in there.
They're the 5 teams I look at. I'm like, they're not bad enough to go to the bottom of the league. Maybe the Canadiens.
But they're also not good enough to make a real threat towards the top.
No, and that's the issue here. So it makes for a tough situation.
Yeah. Which one of those teams? Which one of Ottawa or Buffalo are you more surprised at? That's not making a push to be top 3 in their division.
Buffalo. Definitely, because
yeah,
they played so strong that in the year. Senators, I knew, could have had some issues, especially when one of their solid players
left. Yeah,
well, DeBrincat left because of all the drama that went around there, and Shane Pinto got suspended. I was like, oh god, this could be a tough year for them. But Buffalo is just they have a good team.
They do.
They're just not playing well. That's their biggest issue. They're just not playing well. It's not a talent issue.
I don't know what they have to do. Genuinely, I don't know what they have to do.
Their goalies have been inconsistent, and they just haven't been able to get on a run. They've had actually a solid.
The Penguins do.
They've had a solid January. Has been the one nice thing, but they played a lot of light opponents going into February. I mean, they're going to run into a lot of the Western Conference and a lot of decent teams in the Western Conference, which is going to make their lives harder. So for me, it's Buffalo, and it's really disappointing because I actually had them finishing 3rd.
I remember that.
Yeah, I had them finishing 3rd. If I remember the order of the teams, I think I did it as follows. I think I did Toronto.
I think it was
Boston.
Florida.
Oh no, I did Toronto, Florida, Buffalo.
And I think Boston was 4th for a wild card spot. Yeah. I'm in the same boat that you're in with the Sabres. But I'm in the same boat that the Sabres kind of remind me of the Penguins right now. Because they're not a bad team, but they can't string together those 4-game winning streaks, those short 5-game winning streaks. And then when you are going to drop a game, extend it to overtime. The Leafs have been underperforming all year, but the reason why they are they're gonna be 3rd in the Atlantic, but the reason why they're hanging in there after that bad stretch is because when they lose games, they push it to overtime. When they get a 6 goals on 20 shot game, they extended it to overtime. So that's what separates the good teams from the ones that they're decent, but they're not breaking through. Those games, those 1-point games are important. They are.
And for reference, you guys have tied for the second least amount of losses.
I know.
In the entire Eastern Conference with Florida at 14. And then there's Boston that still hasn't lost double-digit games this season.
When does Boston go away?
Never.
When do they go away? They're never going to.
When Marchand retires.
They're not going to go away. They're going to find some...
When Marchand retires, or they trade Pasternak.
They're going to find Scott Boston, who puts up 90 points and is the boogeyman of all boogeymen.
To go with the pasta man.
I know. Scott Boston's his name.
It's just Scott Boston.
Yes. Whatever.
It's painful.
They're going to be hanging around for as long as possible. But speaking of the Atlantic Division... We got some breaking news that I just saw on my phone. Brenden Gallagher. All right. Did you see the hit on Brenden Gallagher last night?
No, I did not. I heard he got suspended, but I did not see the hit. I never looked on Twitter for it.
Brenden Gallagher was doing a flyby on, I think it was either Adam Pelech or Pollock. I don't remember which one it was.
It was Pelech. It was Adam Pelech.
It was Adam Pelech. So... Adam Pelech has the puck and he's carrying up the zone. Brenden Gallagher is way shorter than him. Raises his elbow up over his own head and hits Adam Pelech clean in the jaw and knocks him out.
Oh my god.
So did you read how many games he got suspended? Don't read it if you haven't. How many games do you think he should be suspended for that? Intentionally elbowing someone in the head.
At least 7 to 9, but
7, 9, or 10. He got 5. He got 5 games. Yeah, 5 games. You want to bet? You want to bet on a different sport? 42. You want to brain someone in the head? Nah, just 5.
2 games. $5,000 fine.
5 Yeah, I'm shocked it wasn't $5,000. Like, oh, you naughty boy, slap on the wrist, $5,000. Like, George, I know you played for Montreal. I know you played for the Habs, but like, maybe care about the players a little bit.
The worst part is, if it wasn't for the fact the one person who ever called him out on it is a bad person who's gotten charged for trafficking.
What?
Yeah, Dolan. Or this is like rumors of
Oh! I
there's
forgot!
There's rumors of James Dolan getting charged with like sexual harassment or sexual assault and like and trafficking. Let me find this.
Oh God, why is there more than one on this episode? I hate people. There's more than one of these stories on this episode?
It's always rich people.
Oh my. There's like 3 that have happened in the span of like 2 weeks.
Yeah, it was sexual assault and trafficking, according to CBS Sports, written by Jasmine Wimbish.
Can we just
very good article, by the way, if anyone wants to read it.
Okay, so we're gonna put this dude below the jail. But lock him up. Throw the key into the Pacific Ocean. Put Vince McMahon in there with him.
The reason
both of them can rot.
They're both very
that's
ugly
true.
people. You could find it online, but it basically ties in the same thing of what I just said about Dolan. But what bugs me is that I think the league thinks they could get away with this stuff because the one person who called him out is a very bad individual on their own. If anybody is wanting to look up James Dolan, just look him up with the Knicks and you'll understand everything in full. He hasn't done this to the Rangers, surprisingly. It's like Pagula with the Bills. It's David Tepper just ruins both the teams he has.
That's like the Zodiac Killer calling out the Unabomber. Like, you've done a bad thing. How could you? Like, what?
Oh my goodness!
Like, come on!
But it's so frustrating because like that's what we're talking about. We're laughing at this stuff, but as a result, that's the only person who's actually called out George Barrows for being bad at his job. Besides, like all of us, like as fans, no other owner or like anyone in hockey calls him out. So as a result, like. This stuff continues to happen, and I would get mad and frustrated about it, but I've watched enough of Steve's videos to like represent this issue. If the players don't come out and openly say like this needs to change, like we need to be getting fined more, getting suspended more, so we're not getting brain damage from getting elbows to the head, then nothing's gonna change.
It's never gonna change.
It's frustrating as fans to see that. Nobody wants to see people get hurt. Like I will always reference back to this the Colorado Avalanche Seattle Kraken series. There were 2 nasty hits, one on each end.
Yeah.
And the outcomes for both were completely different.
I know. Because Eberle got suspended?
Eberle got suspended because he straight up brained Cogliano into like the side, and he deserved to get suspended for that. That was a horrible hit.
Yep.
And I don't know if Cogliano's played since then. I don't think he has.
He has not.
Like that was almost a life-threatening injury, and he got like 2 games in the postseason.
2 games.
He should have gotten more.
Slap on the wrist.
But the fact is, he should have gotten suspended. Versus Jared McCann catching a brutal injury from Cale Makar, nothing.
Yep. Well,
they let him come back early.
It's because Cale Makar's a superstar. You can't suspend the superstars. What are you talking about? I saw a video the other night of Connor McDavid giving, I think it was Yanni Gourde, like 8 cross checks to the neck, and there was like no penalty or suspension. And Yanni Gourde shoves McDavid, whistle, interference. Like, come on!
Because it's Yanni Gourde, and he does this all the time. It's the same thing with Nazem Kadri. It's the same thing with Michael Bunting. It's the same thing with all these players.
I know.
It's always been like that for them. Yanni Gourde is Seattle's player of having this issue happen to us 24/7.
Yeah.
And it makes me want to rip my hair out. That's why I'm so angry the Oilers are on a 15-game winning streak right now. Because I was laughing at them all the way to the bank after they fired their coach. And now they're good, and now I hate life.
I was so happy. When they lost to the Sharks in the toilet bowl. What happened?
Oh, my God. Yeah.
What happened?
McDavid became McDavid. Their depth finally started doing something. Calvin Pickard is apparently decent for them. Like, that you had that in your bingo card, Oilers
No,
fans?
I didn't.
The answer is no, you didn't.
I also didn't have Ilya Samsonov turning into a pumpkin, striking midnight, and then we were granted 3 more wishes, and we're like, please, can we have him back? And they're like, yeah, sure, why not?
Let's go to the least goaltending problems, because I feel like that's been like the biggest thing holding you guys back, and it's not even close.
It's that, and it's the defensive structure, and it's Brad Treliving built the team to have like an edge to them, but when it I'm not saying that. All right, but when it came time to defend, when it came, this is a PG show. Well,
Sometimes.
not really,
Sometimes.
but when it
Anyway,
when it came time to actually start defending, they're like, what if we didn't? What if we didn't do that?
did not.
Yeah, God. So they signed John Klingberg, and then they're like, you know what, let's replace him with Simone Benoit, who's actually been really good, by the way.
Yes.
But
Shout out to him. He's been amazing.
they had this vision of like, yeah, we're going to be sound defensively. We're going to be great in front of our own net. It's going to be awesome. We're going to have Ryan Reeves beat people up. It's going to be great. And they give a ton of chances in front of their own net. And Samsonov last month couldn't make a save. His life depended on it. But hey, he's good now.
Hey, quick question on Reeves. Didn't he get sent down for Noah Gregor or someone else?
Yeah.
He's back up now because Yankrok's hurt.
Yeah.
But, that's funny right there. How long do you have him for?
What, Ryan Reeves?
Yeah, 3 years.
3 years? At like $3.15 million or something crazy like that?
No, I don't think it's like anything insane.
I think it's like $3 million a year.
Is it really?
Or it might be a lot. I don't know. I think it's $3 million a year.
This is only like
His contract was either worth $3.5 million or it's $3 million a year.
I think it's $3 million total.
Then all right, then maybe.
But it's 3 years.
Then maybe.
Wait.
But no, when the best
my
goalie on your roster with Joseph Wohlhurt was Martin Jones for a solid month and a half, and they won games with him.
Hey, in Seattle, I can attest. It just happens. There's no explanation to it because he's not good. It just happens. He must bring some really good energy to the locker room.
I think he does. I think he has this thing about him where it's like, I'm gonna let in all of the goals, but don't worry, you guys are gonna score one more than them, and you're gonna win.
And I will pull out at least 2 dumb saves that I shouldn't make.
I know. Joseph Wohl's been out for like 2 months.
Yeah, for reference for Ryan Reeves, by the way, it's $1.35 million for 3 years.
Oh, all right.
It's just the 3 years
that's
the issue because he's 37.
That makes me feel
Not as
better. Maybe, probably not.
It's not the money; it's the term.
Oh, the other thing. Remember how it was the core 4? It's the core 5 now.
Morgan Riley.
William Nylander gets $11.5 million for 8 years.
Oh my god! You guys are gonna go bankrupt.
We're not gonna go bankrupt. We're not gonna be able to afford a coach. It's basically gonna be, all right, Austin, Willie, Mitch, if you're still here, John, if you take a pay cut, Morgan, go do things.
Go win us games.
Go win a cup, please, before I go mentally insane.
I think that's it.
I remember watching the Leafs and Blue Jackets game with my mom back in December.
Oh, was it the one with...
It's the one with 6 goals on like 24 shots or something crazy like that. And my mom's like, weren't you guys like supposed to be good? And I was like, yeah, but we don't have a goalie. So no, we're not good. Yeah.
Finding that game right now.
Goaltending's important. It's important, but we don't have any. So naturally, we'll beat someone that we shouldn't in the first round, and then the second round we'll get torched by Boston or something.
I found the game.
Yeah,
it happened to him twice actually against the Blue Jackets. They lost in OT 6-5 2 different times.
I know they did, and they dropped both games against Chicago.
They let in 9 goals against the Sabres.
I think that was. Yeah, they did lose.
That was
like
Samsonov
9-3.
and then Jones game. So right after that game, They play Blue Jackets win. They lose the Senators. They then bring in Samsonov after. I don't think he played either of those games after.
No.
After the.
He got sent down after that.
He comes back up for the Blue Jackets game. I meant in between the 9.
He got sent down for that too. Yes.
I thought he just got benched.
He got sent down for a conditioning stint, aka he practiced with the Marlies. Yeah. Came back up in time for that game.
And for reference, he let in 6 goals on 21 shots. Made 15 saves. And had a 714 save percentage.
I've never seen a 714 in a game. I've never seen a 714.
Finished the game with a 714. I've seen a 600 save percentage.
It was as bad as like a .42 at one point.
It was really, really bad.
It was bad. But no, he's playing well now, so crisis averted. Yeah. He had 1 goal showing against, I think it was Calgary, and then a shutout against, who did they play the other night? Oh, the Jets. 1-0.
No, it wasn't.
Tiago.
No, it wasn't Calgary.
Oh, it was Seattle. Yeah, sorry about that.
Of course it was. Because we only put on 17 shots.
Dude, I'm up big against teams that my friends like. We beat the Kraken, which is yours. We beat the Jets, which is my friend Tiago and my high school teacher's teams. And then
you glitched your meme on Instagram.
Okay, that was not my fault. The Leafs posted the score backwards. It was 1-0 Leafs, and they posted it 0-1 Jets. It was backwards. I had to fix it. I'm sorry I didn't get the cat meme out. All right. Sorry.
They messed up the finishing graphics?
Yes, they messed up the finishing graphics. Everyone's like, we won the game.
How do you miss that? That's funny. But no, it's... At least for you guys, you're in a relatively good spot. I think you'll finish ahead of the Lightning. Now, whether you finish ahead of Florida or not is...
We won't. We'll play Florida on the road. But, hey, they've been a really good road team this year. So, hey... Maybe we'll beat Florida.
At least your team's singing a playoff spot.
Oh.
At least your team's going to make the playoffs.
My team's in a playoff spot. Maybe they'll win their second series since 2004. Oh, wow. Ooh, so scary.
Hey, then you'll have more wins than the Kraken.
You guys have been a team for 3 years.
Give something positive.
Oh yeah, we're more successful than the Kraken, even though we've been around since since 1917 or something. Yeah, more successful than the Kraken. We only had a 100-year head start.
That's funny.
And we've still won as many cups as you guys have since the initial expansion era. Hooray!
Freaking Vegas has won in 6 years.
Vegas is more successful than the Leafs have been since 1967. Think about that. Think about that for a second.
The Vegas Golden Knights weren't a thought for 40 years.
Was Vegas? When was the city of Las Vegas founded? Hang on a second.
I want to say 1930s?
When was the city founded?
I want to say 1930s.
Las Vegas established as a town in 1905.
It's been that long.
So the Leafs have been a franchise. The city of Las Vegas is 12 years older than the Leafs. Hang on a second. So they're 1905 because I think they changed their name in 1917. Okay, they were founded in 1917. All right.
Okay, that makes a little more sense.
Okay, so yeah. So Vegas itself is 12 years older than the Toronto Maple Leafs are.
That's funny.
And they've won more cups than we have since 1967. Yeah, I think I'm done. No, I'm kidding.
You're just dying inside.
No, we still have topics to cover. As
my
much
team
as I don't
making
want
me
to talk
sad.
about the one, but
my team making me sad. Actually, let's go over the elephant in the room, and then we'll end it with some positive now.
Do you want to? Let's talk about your team first, because I want to talk about the elephant in the room and then positive story after, so we don't end on the
fair.
The bad thing.
So I guess to wrap up the talking around the league is my team, the Seattle Kraken, are just finding every way to break my heart immensely. This season's been painful like beyond painful. And I mean, I guess the start is the 9 overtime losses. Yeah, that one sucks. We're 20-18-9, so it's not like we're playing awful, but we're not playing great. They finished up with a 9. They had a 9-game win streak running into Pittsburgh. Yep. They get blanked, and then proceeded to go on an 0-4 run with that game included, losing. They've been all tough games. Yeah. I will say that. It was Penguins, Rangers, Oilers, all on the road, and then Maple Leafs at home. That one sucked. That one made me mad.
Pretty hard.
That one made me mad. It's like we were at home, and I thought we were going to play better than, only getting 17 shots off on Samsonov.
You ran into the GOAT Ilya Samsonov, baby. Let's go.
And then luckily they bounced back on Wednesday, and they beat the Blackhawks, and they beat them bad. They beat them 6-2. They kicked the crap out of them. I know. That at least made me feel a little bit better. But this has been my problem with watching Seattle all season, is that they'll get the occasional really big win. But it's been every game they've needed to win, they've won. Every game that they've been projected to lose, they've almost always won and lost. And this goes to the two biggest issues I've had on this team. There's no star power running through this team. There is none.
And the star power that you do have running through it is injured.
It's injured, and, well...
Matt Beniers being the
Beniers is
biggest
back.
One. Yeah, but he was out for, I think,
he's
4
been
of
out
those
for a
games.
little bit, but he's just struggled is been the other thing. He's just not been that good this year.
Sophomore slump.
Yeah, he's been in a slump. Cartier's been okay. And then the other thing, they didn't bring anything that really brought any help. No. Devin Shore is literally a ghost. That man is useless beyond belief.
Still in the league.
Pierre-Edouard Bellemare was okay at points, and now he's been hurt for a while. Burakovsky's still off and on, but he's back, but he's not been good since coming back. He has 1 goal in 16 games. Ooh. He's been terrible. And all these, and then the defense. Oh my God, where do I begin with this?
Because it's been Penguins painful. Legend Brian Dumoulin.
No. No, Dumoulin is very bad.
Yes. He was horrible in the game that we saw.
He was so bad. He was so bad in that Penguins game. He's been bad. Riker Evans has been... Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, but he's a call-up, isn't he?
He just should not be there right now.
Yeah, he's replacing Vince Dunn, because isn't he still out?
No, he's back now.
Oh.
But they still are rolling 7 defensemen.
Oh.
For some reason.
They're running 11 forward, 7D.
And then to make matters worse, their best player is probably out for a few games. Well, one of their best players recently, Elvi Tolvanen, is going to be out for a few games, from what I've heard, with, a nice undisclosed injury. Thanks. He's out. Jaden Schwartz is still hurt. It's frustrating. And it feels like there just is there's no star power. There's no real big names running through this team. They don't have that guy. Every team that's sitting around a playoff spot right now, the Kings, the Predators, the Blues, the Coyotes, the Oilers, the Stars, they all have those guys that run out and they have 1 or 2, or in some cases the Stars, I think they have 3 or 4 guys that can run out and get a point a game.
Yeah.
Seattle does not have that.
They don't.
They don't have a single guy like that. Even the Blues have that with Robert Thomas. The Coyotes have that. They're not a good organization.
If it's Alex Kerfoot, I'm going to scream.
It's Clayton Keller, obviously.
Okay.
It's Clayton Keller. And, the Predators have 2. They have Ryan O'Reilly. Actually, I think they have 3. They have O'Reilly. Let me find the names. It was O'Reilly, Forsberg, and Yossi. They have 3 different guys who are near a point a game. And at this point, it makes it frustrating because Seattle does not have anything close to that. The highest number of points they have on their entire team is a 2-way tie between Bjorkstrand and Vince Dunn at 36.
Ooh.
That's low.
Ooh.
And it's not bad because they have a lot of guys that have 20. They have a lot of guys who have 20 points, like 19 or 15. They have a lot of guys who have produced, but they have nobody that runs out there and consistently can be that big X factor during the game.
No one on that top end.
And Dunn are the closest to, and they're not those guys. They're great secondary pieces, but they are not the guys who are going to run you into a spot. Beniers is supposed to be that, and he's had a rough year.
Yeah.
And he's had injuries, and he just had underperformance. Eberle was supposed to be that. He's been terrible this year. So I don't really know what Seattle. Everybody's been whining about the goaltending. The goaltending is an issue. Don't get it twisted.
Yeah.
Because Grubauer.
Once you guys start to develop an actual system underneath of you, like for goaltending, it'll get a lot better. Because you guys haven't been around. Yeah. Like you guys haven't been around for that long, so like your system will get like much more dense than it is now. Because like right now, what you guys are running into is you've been around for 3 drafts, so you only have a certain amount of pool of guys you can pick up from and get them into experience.
And the one thing I will say I give them a lot of credit for is that unlike Vegas, well, I don't know how much this is a compliment or not for us, they haven't been in a rush to throw away all the guys they brought in.
Yeah.
Where Vegas, and it's a double-edged sword on this because Vegas actually did a good job taking a lot of their bad players and flipping them and getting like really good guys. Like the best example I can give, James Neal. They took that. Well, actually, he just walked after that season and went to oh my God, he went to the Flames and played like garbage after that. But they cleared up that spot and didn't sign him that crazy contract like the Flames did, and had the money to bring in other guys like Max Pacioretty and Alec Pietrangelo and Alec Martinez and all these other guys.
Yeah.
So I think they've done a good job. They haven't run out the bank to like bankrupt themselves outside of giving Vince Dunn and Jarrett McCann extensions, which, like I said, fantastic moves. Yeah. I hope they follow suit with Tolvanen and Bjorkstrand because I think those are 2 guys that are going to be long-term impact players for them. But after that, it's like everybody else is just, replaceable.
Yeah.
And it sucks saying that because, like I said, it's a business and it's a business and it involves people. But at the end of the day, Seattle is in just a tough position where they don't have anything that's bending the needle outside of like their great structure, which credit to Dave Haxall for. He's done a very good job with everything. But it's like it's going to catch up with them sooner or later. They have a big game tonight against St. Louis. They have to win that game if they want to have any hope of saving their year.
Yeah,
because the Blues are playing with momentum right now. I think they are on a 3-game win streak right now, and a lot of the West has been struggling outside of the Blues and the Oilers. Everybody else has been terrible in the West. So if they want any hope of getting themselves back in this year, it's now or never at this point.
Yes, it is.
Like with the deadline coming up.
So. I agree. I don't know what you guys are going to do, but...
And that's the bit that worries me the most.
Yeah.
Is that I feel like they're going to just sit there and do nothing.
I don't think you guys sell, but like at the same time, like I
just think they're going to do nothing like last deadline.
Yeah.
All they did was bring in Jacob Magna last offseason, which granted, Chychrun and Klingberg did not pan out long term, but I don't know. Well, I'm just going to have to sit and be patient. It's like I said, this is why, even though I'm a big sports major, there's a reason I don't work in front house office business.
Yep.
Because it is one of the toughest things you have to do. So
I agree.
I'll sit patient and hope that they'll right the ship. And hopefully it starts tonight with St. Louis.
I agree with that. Okay. You can tell it's getting somber because there is a big, stinky elephant in the room.
That took a dump all over the joys of the NHL.
We're going to cover this more than the actual National Hockey League is intending to cover this right now, but,
Yeah, I guess for reference, the reason people are going wild about this is that the situation is very bad and the NHL didn't address it. So, I just want to preface this with a point where instead of talking about this issue, which Jimmy will do a very good job of explaining, they put out a post on their PR page talking about the expansion franchise in Salt Lake City when this was all going on.
It was 30 minutes after this report came out.
Yep.
It was Now, granted, we've known that something happened with the...
What year was this? 2018?
It was 2018. And before we get, any deeper into this conversation, viewer or listener discretion is advised.
Yes.
This topic is it's covering topics of sexual assault. So if you guys want to skip ahead in this show, I will leave a timestamp in the description of this show so you guys can skip past it.
Yes.
Please protect yourselves before we get into this topic. If you guys need help and need to reach the sexual assault hotline, their phone number is 1-800-656-4673. I hope you guys never need to use this resource, but if you do, please feel free and get in touch with them, and they will give you the proper steps to move forward. So,
Well said.
with that being said, the 2018 World Junior Hockey Championship Canadian team. Now, we've known for a little while that there were 5 players who are currently, or one was formerly, in the NHL. Now, we don't know if any of the 5 are guilty yet. This is all alleged. So before we get into this, all of this stuff is alleged.
Yeah, nothing has been confirmed yet as of right now.
Nothing's confirmed. The court case hasn't gone through. We don't know any evidence yet. All we know is from the deposition itself. Mm-hmm. So there were 5 members of the 2018 Canadian World Juniors team that participated in the gang assaulting of a female. I will refer to her as Jane Doe. Jane Doe has had a graphic description of the situation. If you guys want to seek out that description, you may. So the reason why this is getting a lot of attention is because the London, Ontario Police Department recalled the 5 players to report back to the police station in London and face charges for sexual assault. And if they don't, they will be charged with evasion. So we have that. That came out, I believe, Tuesday morning.
Yes.
So we have that. And then a couple of days prior, there were a couple of players, and I will be naming the players.
Yes.
But keep in mind, this is all alleged. We don't know if they... The timing is suspicious. We don't know why they took the leave of absences, but
yes,
you can kind of reason why it's a little suspicious. We don't know for certain that they're all involved.
Yes.
But they all have the common denominator of they all played for the 2018 World Junior team.
And I'm going to give a quick heads up for people who, if you do want to, if this is something that you want to look a little deeper into, there's a lot of information that's been going around about this, especially because we always know people are going to throw out wrong names, wrong information. Everybody wants to do that for your fame. There's a person I highly recommend. She covers in the Athletic.
Yep.
Her name is Katie Strang. I've met her. She does fantastic investigative journalism in sports. She has covered a number of really hard-hitting, very scary topics in sports news, and she's about as reliable as it gets. So if you ever, if you want to find more information on this, The Athletic is the go-to. The deals are cheap. It's a very reliable site, and she gives unbelievably strong quality information.
The other one who is working close with her, his name is Rick Westhead. He works for TSN. He is not afraid to cover topics like this as well. He broke the news of the Chicago Blackhawks situation with Kyle Beach back in 2010. So if you guys are looking to seek out more information, those 2 sources are the most reliable that we have right now. So if you guys are seeking out this information, please consider looking at both of their stories with this. Both of them are the most accurate so far. It's what we know. You guys aren't going to get any biased take or any straight up admission of guilt.
Yes.
So the 5 players that took a leave of absence are as follows. Carter Hart, who is the goaltender of the Philadelphia Flyers. Dylan Dubé, who is I think he is a forward.
He's a forward for the Flames.
Forward for the Calgary Flames. We have Alex Formenton, who is in the Senators organization but does not play there at the moment. We have Michael McLeod, who is a member of the New Jersey Devils. And we also have... Oh, who else was it?
That's bad. Cal Foote.
Cal Foote.
Who was a defender for the New
didn't
Jersey
remember
Devils.
if it was Cal or Nolan, but it's Cal Foote who also plays for the New Jersey Devils. Now, the timing of this is... It doesn't look good, but I'm not going to speculate on whether or not that is the reason. My main gripe right now is the NHL they had an initial statement back when all of this information came out, but there has been no update on their internal investigation. There's been no update on why players have been taking leave of absences. Like, they've all been saying to every NHL club, this is what you can say about it, leave it to the police, don't give any updates, which... From a PR standpoint, I get it, but the NHL has a responsibility to let their fans know what's going on, because hockey doesn't exactly have the best image, especially from the Chicago Blackhawks incident that happened a couple of years ago. Like,
yeah, they could run on a few incidents. There was that
there's
one.
a lot.
There was the whole thing with the Chuchkin during the playoffs.
Yeah.
With Seattle. When he was in Seattle.
Yeah, that was last year.
Yeah, it was during the playoffs. And there's been a few other cases of it, and I think situation is just tough. And like I said, I'm not going to throw out any judgment. It is, the only thing I will say is that it's a little weird that, at least from right now, we haven't heard anybody else take a leave of absence.
No, there's only been those 5.
It's been those 5, well, in like a long period of time.
Yeah.
There was no one like really beforehand, and then it was Z5, and then there hasn't been one since.
Nope.
For anything else. So, and these 5 came within the span of, at least from what I remember, 2 days. It was like 2 days that these, like within 48 hours, these 5 got all decided to say, and it was all the same statement. So,
all carbon copy statements for
basically
each
saying
and
that
every
they were
one
all
of them.
taking personal leaves of absence for an extended period of time, and there's going to be no update until further notice.
Clubs will have no further comment.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that was the only thing I kind of, when I was looking into this, I was like, this is weird. Why? Like, blanket statement for everyone. And I get it. I know in sports, like, when issues go on, usually you will have a template for it. But I've watched enough football, baseball, and basketball issues to know when there's issues, every team handles it differently, and every team has a statement that, like, mirrors, like, how the organization kind of says. And that's what's bugging me here. And I'm not going to talk about the players, because that all is up for interpretation right now for people, and there's an investigation, all that stuff.
Like, we're not going to talk about the players
bugs
anymore.
me is that the message is literally, it's almost like if one NHL PR professional, or maybe like 3, or I'll say 3, because they're a big franchise. I'll say 3 PR professionals mixed with like 1 or 2 lawyers crafted together one statement, like a 1-page document, maybe a 2-page document, and it's like they emailed it throughout the entire league.
Yep.
That if something goes wrong, state this. If there's injuries, state this. If there's something bad going on within the organization itself, state this.
I agree.
It feels, I guess the best way to describe it is that it's generic. It's really generic because it doesn't truthfully let you see what's going on. And I think that's the issue for me is like I said, in other sports, it's like, you notice the issues when it's how the owners handle situations. That's more of an organizational issue when things aren't getting taken care of. But hockey's had an issue with a lot of differing things.
Yeah.
It all ties in back with how the NHL handles things. It's not something that owners usually go about and respond. No. Like, even in the case of the Blackhawks situation, it wasn't like the Blackhawks were going to take care of it. It got called out, and the NHL had to dig into it.
Yeah.
And they had a personal, like a generic statement crafted up about investigating and stuff like that. And I do give credit to I forget the guy who owns the Blackhawks, who was like pretty forward about it. And that was like the first time I felt like something pretty genuine.
Yeah, but then like a month later, he's like, we're done, we're moved on, stop talking about this.
That response was bad. But, and that's, I think, my problem here, is that everything comes off really generic.
Yeah.
And there's really little, like, attention to, like, deal with the issues that are being handed.
And, like, comparing to other sports, like, think about the NBA. You remember the allegations that Josh Giddey had back in Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah.
You immediately, like the day after, because it was a holiday, the day after, you had Adam Silver himself giving a statement on it.
Yeah.
Yet Adam Silver himself, it wasn't a graphic on the NBA's Twitter account. Adam Silver, in a press conference, sat down, said, this is the league's plan of action. They will have no further comment on this time. The NHL is allergic to doing that. They're just like, yeah, leave of absence, but the NHL hasn't given fans or media any contingency plan on what they're going to do, whether or not, like, what teams are going to be able to do if, like, I'm not saying the players we mentioned earlier, like, all of them are concrete, like, a part of this.
Even if one is.
Yeah.
Like, just say if one is.
We don't know, like, how contracts are going to be dealt with. We don't know what the league is going to do about this. Like, if prison time becomes a thing, we don't know what they're going to do in terms of, like, if they serve their sentence, are they going to be allowed back in? Is there a ban? Is there anything?
Yeah.
We don't know.
And the only sport that I could actually compare this to is the NFL, because they don't have an issue in terms of PR. They just have an issue in terms of HR and actually handling the issue.
Yes.
Because certain times we'll get, like, one or, like, year-long bans, or, you know, Alvin Kamara will beat the crap out of a guy and should be in jail.
Yeah.
He got, I think, 3 games.
4
games, my bad. You know.
Deshaun Watson got, like, what, 8?
Nothing. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You got 8 games and should be
8 games should have
jail.
been out of the league entirely, but 8 games, and he's still allowed to throw a football for Cleveland. So.
I think that's the biggest punishment Cleveland fans should deserve.
Mm-hmm. That's the biggest punishment they have.
Maybe they knew what they were doing anyway.
Yeah.
But no, in all seriousness, though, it's like, if there's an issue in the case of this, and like I said, and that's why I love how you brought up the NBA as a great example, because you brought up Josh Giddey. The other example I give that almost kind of mirrors it, Josh Primo.
Yeah.
He was, like, gone like that.
Oh, I know.
After that. Or, like, the one time I actually give the NHL credit with how they handled something, sort of, Mitch Miller.
Yeah. But they like, with that, they already had, like, everything they needed to know. Like, with that one, they had everything they needed to know. With this one, since the matter happened with Hockey Canada and the double IHF, the double IHF and Hockey Canada is very... Hockey Canada has been very vague with what's happened. It took the victim to come out and say something. But the NHL still doesn't deserve a break because they still have, like, they've had months to figure out what's going on. They've done nothing. It wouldn't surprise me if their plan was, like, non-existent.
Yeah, and it bugs. Like I said, it'll forever bug me as like a fan of sports and somebody who's worked in like who has been in media. I currently work in sports media with Duquesne right now, and I think about this stuff because it's like, what happens if it does happen to a player? I like to think that Duquesne has a good way of handling things because they took care of what it is. But I also know school is different than professional sports. But that also bugs me at the same time because it's like, I know Duquesne has probably a well put down plan of action if something happens with an athlete, like just speculating, obviously. Whoa. If something were to happen with Duquesne, as a Duquesne athlete, and they get in trouble and they get kicked off, whether if it's betting, sexual assault, or anything along those lines. To a degree. I would believe so. But, like I said, I could be wrong. But I'm going on
more benefit of the doubt than I'm willing to. But yes.
But even in that, like, this is a college university where it's like the team is going to be a lot smaller, maybe more in-house, especially since President Gormley is a lawyer. In the case of the professional leagues, you are multi-billion-dollar franchises with any resource out there in a heartbeat. You have you can call up any lawyer firm in all of America. You can call up any lawyer firm. Hell, you can even call up any lawyer firm in the world, and they probably find a way to get to the NHL in some way, shape, or form, or the NBA, or the NFL, or the MLB, or MLS, or anything. And the NHL does not take these actions into consideration, or don't think to, until crap hits the fan, and they're caught with an issue that never got jumped on. And I preached this on the show, and it burns me so much inside. This wasn't something that needed to get to the issue it got to now. You stated it happened in 2018. How long of a gap is that?
So what? We're saying 2024, so that's almost 6 years.
6 years. Even if the information never came out to, let's say, COVID. I'm giving just hypotheticals.
Yeah.
Let's say the information came out during COVID, because I think it probably came out beforehand.
What, likely. The 2018 information? Yes. It came out 6 months ago.
Oh, it just came out 6 months ago.
6 months ago.
But there was probably I don't know. I'm trying to think of, how soon they would have gotten it. How long?
The NHL?
Yes.
I think the NHL themselves
would have known at least a few years after the fact.
The organizations that had the players on them probably knew about a year ago, if I had to guess. The information has been public for about 6 months. I believe the NHL had it for at least a year.
Let's just say a year then. You know what? Let's say a year. That's still a long time to deal with this, because it wasn't something that needed to get put into this big of an issue where investigative journalism had to basically come in and drag this issue out into the limelight. This was something that could have gotten jumped on when all this stuff came out, and it just didn't do it. The big definition I highlight for people is that this was something that was considered an issue. It was an issue. It's a serious issue. So I want people to know that. An issue versus a crisis is two completely different things. An issue is something that can cause a long-term crisis if not jumped on and handled.
Yeah.
But if you jump on and handle it, hence why we highlighted Josh Giddey, Josh Primo.
The Josh Giddey thing was a crisis.
It was a crisis.
But this honestly has become a crisis.
This became a crisis because it was poorly handled.
Yeah.
Josh Giddey became a crisis because it was very, very bad. It was insanely bad. That's a crisis because of the action that was committed. This is a crisis because, not just because the action that was committed, but this was something that could have been dealt with beforehand and didn't.
You very easily could have, the second you knew that there was a problem with this 2018 World Junior team, I'm going to say something. People can agree with it or disagree with it. I don't think any member of the 2018 World Junior Championship team for Team Canada should have seen NHL ice until this was resolved. I don't think a single one of them should. I think you need to go through this, do due diligence, make sure the people that are involved are punished properly, and the people that aren't, you go through the interview process. If you are found that you weren't involved, you can resume playing. I don't think a single one of them should have seen the ice, because throughout this process, you mean to tell me the London Police Department didn't go through, interview each and every single one of them, and figure out, okay, it's you five, the rest of you can resume going to work, can resume your life. The rest of you guys, we're going to have to sit down and let the legal process do its thing. Mm-hmm. I think that's how the NHL should have handled this, but instead, like they always seem to do, they sweep it under the rug until they're called out for it.
Yeah, and it's something that'll just forever bug me with this league. It's been like this with every issue. It's been like this with the Coyotes, stadium issue. It happened with the terrible culture that was going around when oh my goodness, who was the last guy who was a GM and ran him into the ground? John Chayka.
Oh yeah, John Chayka.
When John Chayka ran all that crap and made a horrible workplace culture, it did all the crap with the scouting, with the bad scouting, and looked at players topless or something.
Yeah,
some weird stuff like that, like just stuff that just doesn't make sense. But along with the fact that they shouldn't have been doing that to begin with.
Yeah,
and all of that, like from those situations to the Kyle Beach situation to this one and Nichushkin and all these things. are things where the issues run deeper than just
deep.
They run way deeper than just past the players.
Yep.
It runs deeper than the teams. It runs all the way to the sport of hockey itself.
It's the people that are in charge. It's the same thing with this, because if the people that were in charge actually cared, those players would not have seen a minute of NHL ice. They wouldn't have, but they don't care.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
Yeah. But with that, I think we should jump to the next topic. That it's a heavy topic. Whenever we know more, like if we for certain know more, like the resolution of this,
We will update you.
we'll update you guys. As for further reports for this, we're going to let the legal system do their thing, and we'll update you guys later.
Yes.
All right, so next topic is going to be one that I've honestly enjoyed. It's a much happier topic than the previous one. The next topic is going to be the PWHL, the Professional Women's Hockey League. I've personally been watching it a lot lately. I've been watching it since the first game happened between Toronto and New York. You may be wondering, Jimmy, which team are you cheering for? I'm cheering for the Toronto team. And you may be wondering, Jimmy, how is Toronto doing? Well, you see, ladies and gentlemen, they're in last. That's not what this is about. That's not what this is about.
I just looked, by the way.
That's not what this is about.
They're currently 1-1
1-1 5-1.
1-5-1. Ooh.
Okay.
Anyways,
so I want to talk about this league because I've been thoroughly enjoying it. Not only because I think the rules are fascinating, but I just think the quality of play has been really, really good. I was used to watching the Team USA team and the Team Canada team battle it out in the rivalry series and in the Olympics. Mm-hmm. But this league is the real deal because it's best on best and it's not by nationality. You can build a team that has actual chemistry together, women that come from all around the world together, build a team just like the NHL. I sincerely hope that they get NHLPA support, that they get NHL support, because I think the sport in general has something with this league, because you have the best players in the world all playing for it. You have college athletes wanting to make the jump over to the PWHL.
Yes.
The first overall pick, Taylor Heiss, she scored one of the best goals I've personally ever seen. It was a spinorama crazy shot, top shelf.
Oof.
It's insane. And then Marie-Philippe Poulin doing her thing. She's the best female hockey player in the world. No one can tell me otherwise. But in terms of stats updates, the first off, when I watched the first game between New York and Toronto, the goaltender for New York, her name is Corinne Schroeder. She is absolutely insane. So in 6 games played, she has a .949 save percentage. .949. And that is second place in the league, by the way. That's not even the best save percentage. Elaine Chalet has a .962 for Montreal. Montreal is currently sitting at the top of the standings. They are 4-1-1 with 13 points. They've been really good. Minnesota is right behind them. They are also 4-1-1. Well, Montreal's 4-1-2 because they have one extra game played. Boston's been pretty good too. Hillary Knight, who is my personal favorite women's hockey player. They're 3-2. Hillary Knight's been playing really good there as well. PWHL Ottawa's 2-1-2 with 8 points. PWHL New York is 3-3 with 8 points, and Toronto is 2-5. Of course, but anyways, Really, what I have to say about this league is that it's great. It is very accessible to watch. All of their games in the United States, at least, are streamed for free on YouTube. Like, they're really great. You should check out the PWHL's YouTube channel at PWHL. Their socials have been really good. They're really interactive with fans. As for team names, I saw they filed a couple of trademarks for team names. They were originally going to go with them, but they fell through. So right now they're just going by their city names. Those will change, though. Mm-hmm. They will get proper team names. They'll get proper jerseys. Like, I know all of them, like, one of the gripes now is that all of them are the same. They all match. Don't worry. That's probably only for, like, a year or two. Like, they'll be fine. The best atmosphere, in my opinion, for this league, Minnesota plays at Xcel Energy Center, which is where the Wild play.
Really?
And they haven't made every seat in the arena available to the public. So like the upper bowl is closed off to the public for now. They're gonna end up opening up when demand gets higher, which it's been pretty high. All of their games have been sellouts, but they sell out the club section and the lower bowl every single game. They've sold out every single game. Like, that arena, to me, it's the best. Like, I hope the rest of these teams can get, like, into at least the AHL buildings, because I think their demand is going to grow and grow when they have more household names come up. Like, there are a lot of college players I think will come up. Who else do I want to highlight here? Because there are a lot of good players. Like, Sarah Nurse on Toronto has been very good. I already mentioned Malie-Philippe Poulin. Jesse Eldridge has been really good for New York. Ottawa, like, I think Ottawa had the highest selling game and highest attendance for a female sporting event in Canada for them. And Minnesota broke the record for the highest attended female sporting event for anything. Yeah. Minnesota's crazy.
Dang.
Minnesota's definitely hockey city. And
oh, yeah, without question. Like, the three places they chose for America for hockey was
really
all
good
amazing
choices.
All amazing markets. You have New York City, which, obviously, it's New York City. You're going to get a ton.
Yeah.
Like, it's the biggest city in America.
Ironically, New York plays in Connecticut right now. They play in Hartford right now because they're having a facility built for them. It's a whole thing, but
That's
yeah, they're playing in Connecticut.
But
which is kind of funny.
Like, even Hartford, you're gonna get a lot of people coming there because they used to have an NHL team, which actually I think that's a smart decision from them playing there. You have Boston, in which, come on now, like, that's all I have to say.
I'm shocked Boston isn't in first in this league too, because they have everything good.
And then Minnesota, which is literally hockey central outside of hockey. Like, Detroit. Like, outside of Detroit, that's like the other main place in America for hockey.
State of hockey.
And then, obviously, Canada, I mean, you can't really put them in a terrible spot.
You can't miss with Canada.
And you picked Ottawa, Toronto, and Montreal. I mean, that's all I have to say. Fantastic markets, all three of them. So
they're also talking about expanding to 6 more teams. I'm curious to where you think they should put the next 6 teams.
Should we speculate it like it'd be 3-3, you think? Or would it be more America, you would believe?
We can go 3-3. Name whatever cities you want.
All right. The first one I'll say for Canada right off the gate, Vancouver.
Yeah, I agree.
I know that's gonna be a tough one though. Is the only issue because Vancouver's like on the West Coast, ain't it?
Yeah.
And I know travel is painful.
Yeah. If you're gonna do that, you definitely need to add like a couple more cities out west. So
it gotta be like a whole like Western market.
Yeah.
So that's like the only issue for me is I don't know a ton of cities in like Eastern Canada. I mean, obviously Quebec is
they
like
have
the
most of them
one.
Covered. Like Halifax is there. They have a junior team. Quebec City is a good option.
Quebec City would be the main place I would say on the east side of Canada. If we're gonna go middle, honestly, one I'm surprised isn't been produced yet. Given the fact that we talked about Minnesota, Winnipeg.
Yeah, except Winnipeg doesn't have an airport, but it's fine.
You can figure
Their team name is the Jets, but they don't have an airport.
So I would say if I would look at 3 places, Quebec City, Winnipeg, and Vancouver would be my main 3. And if we're looking at Western markets throughout
The U.S.
Like, I guess that's what I meant. If
Yeah.
we're looking at markets throughout the United States, that's what I meant. I would say Milwaukee.
That's a good idea.
Milwaukee is one for me. This one's only because of Vancouver for me. Seattle. I think Seattle could
do good.
Especially with they're getting a lot of good attendance at the Kraken games for the most part when they're not disappointing their fans. Yeah, sorry. And all around, I think that's just a great place where you can get a lot of interest in like hockey overall. And then the third one, I'm a little iffy on this one. I feel like I'm between these two. I'm gonna throw out and say Chicago.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I was between that and Detroit.
They're one of the ones on my radar.
Them and Detroit are like the two main places, and I think Chicago's got the better chance of succeeding because of all the sports that are currently around, and I think the overall better infrastructure in the city over Detroit. Given the fact they still haven't really had much success in the city since like the motor industry died, whereas Chicago they have like enough sustained success to be fine. So that's my thoughts if I were to list 6 places. So to just recap for everybody, Quebec City, Winnipeg, Vancouver, Seattle, Chicago, and Milwaukee. I
agree with that. For me personally, there are a couple of places that I think that would be successful. I'm going to keep a lot of them towards the east right now, just to keep them close together so they can... Because I think they should build from the east out west for me, because a lot of their teams are in the east right now. So they could say like that line with Minnesota, like right there.
That's fair.
So for me, I would put a team in Halifax, because I think Halifax would support a team very, very heavily.
Now humor me. I'm not the smartest person.
Halifax and Nova Scotia. It's eastern Canada. Far east Canada.
Are we talking real east? Okay.
Halifax, I'd put a team there. I would put a team in Philly, because Philly is crazy about hockey. I would put a team here in Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh, really?
I would put a team here in Pittsburgh. I think it has a chance. I think they have a chance to support a team.
You know what? I agree with that one, actually, for one big reason. I've seen the hockey market in Pittsburgh.
Yep.
And honestly, it's up there with the Steelers for being like an insanely passionate fan base.
I would for sure put one in Philly and Pittsburgh. Like, you could have a rivalry start brewing there. Like, I would also put a team in Quebec City, because they've proven that they can support a team. Because they have a bunch of junior teams and minor league teams there that all get supported in like an NHL-size arena. So I think having a professional women's team there would be fantastic. I would put a team in Chicago, because it has a very large market, and they support the Blackhawks pretty well.
Makes sense with the
other one. The other one is kind of a shot in the dark.
Is it in Canada or is it in America?
It is in the U.S.
Okay. I'm going to see if I can try and figure it out.
It's a shot in the dark.
Is it on the East Coast?
It is. It was in the East.
Is it on the Atlantic Ocean? Or near the Atlantic Ocean?
Mm-hmm. Kind of. Like, yeah.
Okay. Is it a smaller state?
It's not going to be what you think.
Is it a smaller state?
Decent sized. Okay, it's in the south.
Oh. Okay, you got me interested then.
It's in the south.
Are you thinking Charlotte?
No, but you're close. Little further west.
Further west?
Uh-huh.
Atlanta?
Nashville. Oh. I would put a women's team in Nashville.
You know what?
I put a women's team in Nashville.
I can see that. And honestly, and here's why.
Because the Preds have been booming popular.
The Preds have been booming popular. You have, that's a big city with a lot of... And their infrastructure continues to get better. They're one that, them, Charlotte, I think even Salt Lake City's in this list. They're cities with fantastic infrastructure
Yeah.
that's getting better. Indianapolis actually is another one, I think, as well.
I think they have a chance too. I was torn between the last team. I had like 3 cities that I thought about, like Milwaukee. I thought about Nashville. I thought about Indianapolis.
Nashville,
Charlotte was on there too.
I like Nashville as well because it almost in a way, like, I know, if you were to put Chicago as one, I think that's where, like, the heart of that would lie.
Yeah.
Because that's, like, the middle area, kind of.
Yeah.
Sort of. But if you were to do Nashville, that's the heart right there. And I think that's a fantastic decision.
Because I think a lot of the cities we named are, like, towards the north. But if you want to start... Because it opens the door to further expansion. Because if you put a team in a non-traditional hockey market... Especially with the Predator support, if you have that, like, hey,
Which you would definitely get.
you would have more young women want to pick up the sport, and you'd have people come from like the southern states, pick up a hockey stick for the first time, grow the sport even more. It wouldn't be just young women; it'd be young men too.
Because as of watching football from players who come from the South. There's some, like, it's no offense, and it sounds harsh saying this, but there are some crazy big people.
I know
from the South.
I know.
I'm just like, you guys are built different than like us from like past the what was the old line that used to be like back in American history, the the Mason-Dixon line.
Yeah, it's Mason-Dixon.
Yeah, the Mason-Dixon line. Anything like south of that, and it's like, whoa.
I would say, like, south of Virginia is, like, a whole
Yeah.
new world. But, like, with my point with Nashville, just, I want to see them try in a non-traditional hockey market to get more people invested into the sport. Because I think they should try to succeed where the NHL is failing.
Yeah.
And it will give more opportunities, like, especially if they end up working together, I think it'll be just good for the sport in general.
Also, this is just a personal thing. Shout out to the PWHL. I love their logo, actually.
I know,
It
it's
is
great.
insane amount more than the
Also,
NHL.
PWHL, if you need, like, promo work or anything,
please
contact me, please. No, I'm kidding.
Hire me. You know what? I'll do this. Please hire me. I'm looking for work. I work in social media and sports information. You need any help or any videography, please reach out. This is a desperate
Please,
promotion.
I
here.
love your league. Let me work with it.
I need money. No, I'm kidding.
God.
I'm kidding. But no, in all seriousness, though, it is something like stuff like that in the XFL, stuff like that. I love looking at because it's fun to like see and branch out from like the original 4, where I think at points where big professional leagues can get complacent, a bit stagnant, especially when I mean this in the nicest way possible. Sports and business as a whole in America does the best when there is a level of competition around you as peers.
Yep.
Not as threats, but as peers.
Exactly.
And I think if you see it with stuff like the and that's where I'm curious if the UFL does a good job this year, manages their money right, does good promotion, which given the fact The Rock is a solid promoter to a degree, I think it's very well possible, although some decisions I was a little skeptical on, but I do like overall how they've handled a lot of it. I think that has the ability to succeed the same way the PWHL does.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm curious because reasons like the NBA don't have to care is because, no offense, and I'm saying this as nice as possible, the WNBA don't help their case because they try to run their league like it's the NBA.
Yes.
Whereas, like, this is trying to be something original.
Yeah.
The UFL is trying to do something original. The WNBA is just saying, here's basketball, but we have women.
Like, from what I've seen...
And that sounds harsh.
Yeah.
But I'm throwing it out as a place of honesty for, like, they keep the height of basketball the same.
That's my main gripe with the league because for me, and, like, this is like an opinion of a guy, so like
yes.
I'm not
coming from 2 men.
I'm not like I'm super not like the voice of this.
Yeah.
But for me, what I care about, at least as a viewer, I more care about the quality of play versus whether or not they're playing like with the same rules and the same exact everything.
Yes.
Like For me, I think the WNBA would be way more entertaining if they lowered the rim. Because you'd see, like, highlight reel dunks, you'd see alley-oops, you'd see more threes, you'd see more points.
I guess,
like,
a great comparison for me right now, and I'm just going to quickly talk about this with basketball, and then we'll end it up with, like, some hockey.
yeah.
Because, like, in hockey, I've at least seen it when I've watched it. The men and women are actually relatively similar up until, like professional.
Yeah.
And then there's, like, a difference in,
There's
like,
a big
genetics and
disparity
body
between
difference.
college and professionals.
Yes. Like, in college, it's actually decently similar to a degree for, like,
Yeah.
sizes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Basketball is the only sport... Yes, because even softball is, like, relatively similar
Yeah.
until professional. And
Yeah.
professional, because you get, like, 18-year-olds in baseball. But in basketball, in college, there is a significant difference because I watch it with Duquesne, and both teams are insanely talented and insanely fun to watch. But the average height for the woman on the Duquesne team, I think, is around 6'2", 6'1", 6'3", or something like that. And then the average height for, like, the men's team, this is with Kareem, who's, like, a pretty small guy,
Yeah.
is, like, 6'5" or
Yep.
6'7", like,
Yeah.
around that range. That's a big difference. And, folks, if you've ever tried to dunk a basketball, I can't dunk a basketball.
I can't even get halfway there.
I can barely touch the rim on a basketball net. Like, without a basketball in my hands, folks, I would never come close to dunking. And
Yeah.
so, just little changes like that. And that's what the women's hockey league, the professional women's hockey league, is doing so well. And that the UFL is doing so well that the NFL is not, and what NHL is not. And that's where I think if you put yourself with an original identity, a brand, that's why I mess with the logo so much. And, like, just how they handle
Because it wasn't
this
just a
stuff.
shield. It was, like, an actual, like, thought about, like, logo.
Yes. Like, I even noticed that there's a hockey puck in the middle signifying,
Yeah.
like, the bottom part of the W. It's so sick.
Yeah.
And all of that just puts together this original thought of, like caring about hockey. To wrap it up in, like, a nice, neat bow for me is, like, this is... If they keep running out good ideas like this, and I've seen their promotions, they've done a good job.
Yeah,
with a lot
like,
of their
they're not
promotions.
afraid... The main thing, like, especially with me, they're not afraid to promote themselves. They're not afraid to, like, change the rules to how their players want to play. It's been great. Like, they're honestly not afraid to fail.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Like a great...
I think that's the exact reason why they won't.
And we won't be able to show this to anybody outside of you. Here's a tweet. They retweet, like, everything that the 6 teams do, which I really appreciate. This was from PWHL Toronto. This was fantastic.
Oh, yeah, the
Quote,
mullet.
it's the mullet is mulleting. It's with Carly Jackson.
Yeah.
And I just think that's incredible. I think that post was incredible for me. It's
They've
subtle.
been great.
But it's so well done.
Yes. I'm looking forward to see where they go from here because I think they've been on an incredible start. And on that note, you guys get an extra long episode.
You do.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah.
We are... we should announce our schedule before we go. So
Yes.
we are going to be back. It is going to be Fridays, most of the time starting at 5:30. It's going to be between 5:30 and 6 for live shows.
Yes.
Our podcast, like on Spotify and Apple Music, are going to be uploaded very quickly after we get done. If I had to guess, they'll go live like 9 p.m. Eastern for Spotify and Apple Music. We'll send tweets out. We will make sure that they are available the morning after we record them, which is business as usual. Like, that's not going to change. But Fridays at 5:30 are going to be the norm.
Yes.
So with that, thank you guys all for tuning in. Thank you for bearing with us for the long absences. We're going to get better. School happens.
I think we finally got a relatively...
Yeah.
Our schedules are a little lighter now. Our brains are not as fried as before from school.
Except it's like 3 weeks in, so give it some time.
Give it some time, but this is a lighter semester for us to enjoy ourselves a little more. So this is something that we're looking forward to getting rolling for you guys, because you guys have left so much support, so much love from us. Like, for us, you guys have been there for all the good, bad, and ugly for us as hockey fans. watching both of our teams get eliminated, watching Jimmy's sanity go down the toilet sometimes, watching his team. But
just wait until April.
You guys leave all the love and support in the world, so we really greatly appreciate that from the bottom of our heart, and I don't think from either of us we can begin to thank you enough.
Yep. I couldn't agree more. So with that, we will see you guys next week. Take care of yourselves. Have a good weekend. Have a good week.
Take care.